Because as you grow spiritually, as you get deeper into yourself, I remember when I did this course 20 years ago, I saw it totally different. I still read the book, and every time I see something I didn't see before. And any of you having done the course will realize that. Because as you grow deeper and deeper and deeper, you can feel that joy, and you understand things more. You understand people more. Your compassion grows. I think one of the true signs of being really growing is when you can laugh at yourself. When you've done something stupid and you can laugh, and somebody insults you and you can say, you know what? Let it go. What he's doing now, Light on Conspiracies, is spreading love to people who are doing damage to the world. Hard to do, because he was, and again, this is a change in him. Before he was passionate, but angry. And poor Kamala had to listen to this all day. But you don't understand how passionate I am. Yes, but you're angry about it. Do you see that kind of angry passion? Doesn't do anything for the world. Now I've got this passion because I love the world. And I know it's not these people who are bad. It's their desires and their minds that are sick, which is so different. It's such a different expression. So, obviously you see the practice of yoga working in people. As they practice, they transform. Everybody who's taken it has transformed. And what is the transformation that I love about this science is their lives become happy. Not only that, they become more useful as human beings. Much more. All of you have become so much more useful as human beings. You live a better life. You do better things with your life. And what happens as a result? More self-esteem, more self-confidence, because you know who you are. You know, my God, what a gift I am to me. I am spirit in this body, and I am so blessed to have this body as a gift that can walk, that can talk, that can move, that can do all these wonderful things. And why am I wasting my life over something so petty? You did this, and you did this, and why? You don't even have time for that anymore. You have no more time. When you get into the world of divine creation, artists become the greatest artists. Musicians become the greatest musicians. Mothers become the best mothers. Wives become the best wives. People who work on computers become incredible human beings because they put spirit into it. Especially when you know your time is short on this earth. Because even if you live 100 years, you still, at that point, you'll still feel it's short. Even your granny, we thought we were going to lose her this week, and yeah, she's 100.
She's 100, yes. She's
Yeah.
hanging in there.
She's hanging in there.
Political, that's what it is.
She's hanging in there. She's supposed to be going 2 weeks, and yeah, it's just hanging in there. So it's not that easy, to want to leave this body. So even if you live 100 years, it's still short. You're still going to feel it's short. And it's going to feel even shorter if you don't live a fulfilled life. However, if you lived a fulfilled life, as for example, my father, when he left, he was so happy to go. I did everything I meant to do. It's so nice to hear those words coming from a human being. I've given everything away, I've sorted out all, sorted out my family, all my children should be looked after. All the poor people, I'm not going to give them lump sums, giving the checks to my wife to sign. Every month they get a little. Isn't he wise? Because he said if he gives the charities lump sums, he'll spend it right away. Yeah. But if he puts it in a trust, and mom signs 50 checks every month to all these people that he's still supporting because he's got a trust. Now, I think that's so clever, don't you? And then when you leave your life, nothing in the banks, nothing anywhere, you've just given everything away so happily. And then your life is full of, he's met the greatest, met Indira Gandhi because of him. He met all the world's presidents. He's been everywhere. And guess what? With no education. He couldn't write. My father's English was atrocious. I have some letters from him. Do you know? So it doesn't matter the knowledge that you have. It is the spirit that you carry in the world that makes the difference in who you are. So of course you see a person like this walking in. I can't be bothered, don't do anything, just go to work. There's no spirit. There's no spirit. Spirit is, even if you're quiet, it's an internal energy that moves It's like not even your choice anymore. It's like the divine is you. Once you get into yoga, as she said, it's like the divine works through you. It's like you don't even have a choice. You just do things. You learn to listen to yourself. You really learn to hear the higher voice. And it's so powerful that nobody can convince you to do the wrong thing. Even if they wanted to, even if you think I'm really, really confused, at the end of the day, if you work in this energy field, everything will come to help you prevent the wrong thing happening to you. That is the good karma of it. And you only have to experience it to know it. And that's why we tell people, study the science quickly, understand it, and when you do, then you really can say, you know, like Lord Jesus, in different words, my Father and I are one. My spirit and I are one. I mean, the American Indians always speak about the spirit, don't they? Everything is the spirit. And when I was in the ashram in America, an ashram is a place, you all know what an ashram is, right? And there was a American Indian there who drove me to the airport on the last day as I was going home. And everything was divine. Everything. He was talking about the self is in the tree. Oh, that sign is from the divine. And you see that hawk passing? That means there's going to be a strong sense of peace in your life. And it was a beautiful story. I never had such a nice drive to the airport in my life. A great education on Native American tradition. Great education. His name was Turtle as well, you know. And he moved to the ashram to look after the plants. A very simple man. You just would, to look at, you wouldn't think he had all that in him. All that knowledge of the self. Totally self-realized. Totally in bliss. Living in connection and awareness of everything at every moment. And of course, while you're talking about the self, we have the most amazing experience. And Maudi and Vicky was in the same car with us on the second trip, because I asked, could he drive us again? And he was talking about the self in all things, the self with a capital S, the big spirit in all things. And at that moment, it was a really, really sunny, hot day in Virginia. Not a rain cloud, nothing. And we get a big splash on our window screen. And from where? Nobody knew where. There was nothing around, just in the lonely country road. And this big splash comes on the windscreen. And he goes, oh my God, that is the self blessing us, because we're in the self. Of course, these things sound really strange, but when you live like that, many of you have experienced this. We don't like to admit it because it's a bit scary. People think you're a bit mad, you know. But it exists and it happens. And it's happening more and more. And there's more proof nowadays, I think, because people don't believe anymore in the spirit. There's so many things happening. We're seeing things in photographs that we never saw before. We're seeing things move that we've never seen before. We're hearing sounds that we've never had before. Children, so many children seem to know much more than adults. So there's a lot happening on our globe at the moment. And so the yoga science is, get in touch with that. Because then you realize that all this, this car is better than that, and this one, yes, you need a car to get from A to B, and it should be a good car, and everybody should have a good car to avoid an accident. But at the end of the day, a car is a car is a car. Don't spend 10 years looking for one and wasting all your life. You're able to make decisions really quickly about, I say a car because I've been going through that this week. No decision. I got up yesterday, said, no fluffing, you have no time to waste. You have one day, Monday, to make a decision. So Monday I made a decision, yeah, that's it. And whether it's wrong or right, I don't really care. It's a decision. At least I can go on with the rest of my life doing exciting things like that. You know, what is it? A car, I just need it from A to B. And that's it. You just start to make decisions really fast. And this is the joy of living, because then there's no regret in anything you do. Because even if you make a mistake, say, well, you know, at least I didn't waste 20 days thinking about it. Those 20 days were filled with love and meeting new people and enjoying the world and having a good laugh and enjoying my television and enjoying my food and enjoying the grandchildren and enjoying the divine in every single human being I've seen. But if you've got, like you said about the mind, so many things to do, and the stress comes in, then you lose yourself. You lose you. And I always tell people, don't you think you deserve the best? Don't you think you really enjoy? She asked, Who wants happiness? And we all put up a hand. We all want happiness. But our Guru used to say, but you are happiness. You just forgot it. You are happiness. Don't you realize you've been conditioned wrongly? You've been told you have original sin. What a lot of nonsense. You were born happy. What created the unhappiness? The mind stuff. And that's what I loved about him. That made so much sense to me. Why would you look for something if you never experienced it before? Simple question he asked us one day. And I thought about it. Why would we all want to be happy unless we've experienced it before? Isn't it true? It means we've all experienced it before. That's why we want it. So we came from happiness. And the idea of a human experience in the body, the experience in the body, is so that we can feel, touch, love, enjoy, like like it said in the Bible, enjoy the Garden of Eden. But do not eat of the fruit. Our Master explains it beautifully. Do not eat of the fruit of your action. Fruit of your action. In other words, enjoy it all. But don't be selfish. Don't keep it all for you. When you start to think, it's for me, I want, I this, you don't share it, you're going to suffer. Duality, you see? You can enjoy it all. But share it all. And when you share it, already we all know, everybody in this room, when something good happens to you and you share it, it feels, really good. But when something happens to you, I don't want to share it. I remember once, many years ago, I went to an art teacher and she said, I asked her, I said, I really would like to know how you create this color, because I make so many colors together and I can't seem to get that beautiful tone of deep gray brown the way you got it. Mine always looks so muddy, but I wanted a clear gray brown. I mean, people who paint will understand what I'm talking about. I can't seem to get it right with that little bit of red in it, If I told you that, you'd be better than me. That's my secret. But you know what? I never went back to the art class again. You just wouldn't, would you? On the contrary, when I was in university in the States and studying fine arts, I had a Hungarian teacher, Dr. Janka, brilliant artist. And he would give everything to us as students, everything. I remember I used to sculpture, and one day I spent many hours doing a sculpture called what I call Four Sisters. And it cracked in the kiln. And of course, I was only about 19 years old, and tears started coming down. Oh, Nalanie, it's just a sculpture. And besides, I'm the best doctor for these things. After class time, he sat and taught me how to fix it. And we glued it up and we bronzed it. And this to me is a teacher. There's no value on that. What he did for me, I will never forget as long as I live. Do you know? That is the value of a good teacher. And that's why in spiritual language, we say a spiritual teacher, needs to give of themselves. Needs to give of themselves. Because if you keep everything to you, and nowadays you go to yoga classes, they want to give you so much. Why? Because they worry that if they give you more, then you're not going to come to their talks. And I go, better don't come, because you know why? That means you got the secret. Live good lives, teach more people. This is what we really want. More people to really get into this energy field. And this is the practice of yoga, so that you enjoy life. Is it clear? Make it really clear. Because you were from that, you came from that, you are that. That's why you look for it. Why do you think so many people, when they come to his first spiritual talk, start crying? They start crying. You saw that in London. They just start crying. And you cried a lot. You cry because you recognize it's not that. You recognize your soul. You're talking home language. It's something they've recognized and haven't seen for a long time. You just recognize, that's my soul. I understand this feeling. I know it. There's a feeling. You can't really say it in words. You just feel it. It's a feeling that we're living in that soul. So really my words are not important, but what you feel for me is the energy in which I live my life. And when you live your life in that way too, there's a combination. We feel it. It's like a magnet, isn't it? It's like this soul language, and you can't explain it to anyone. But it's like your soul meeting your soul, and you're waking up to your soul. And we each have that. And that's all we do here, is waking up to that energy. And every time we just push it, and this is why we have satsangs every week, you know, whether 2 come, or 10 come, or 20 come, doesn't matter, is to rev up the engine. It's just to rev up your engine, because the world out there is so dense. And you know, with Light of Conspiracies that you are doing, that it is really physically a very dense time. But it is very spiritually a very highly evolved time. As Charles Dickens says, we are living in the best of times and we are living in the worst of times. And at the end, right, what does the twin brother say when he gives up his life for his brother? He goes, "It's a far, far better thing I do than I've ever done. It's a far, far better world I go to than I've ever been." Tale of Two Cities. If you haven't read it, read it. Charles Dickens. Any of you read it by any chance? Still, you know, you see how yogic that is? It was amazing, you know. And if you read Shakespeare, he was a great yogi. If you've read Macbeth, I mean, it's phenomenal. Please read these books, because these people understood yoga. You know, Macbeth, for example, was such a good man. This is all about mind stuff. Such a good man, and eventually would have been king. Where he goes through the forest to see the king, because he loved the king, and you know, was one of the ministers. But through the forest, he meets what? 3 witches. And if you read Macbeth, you have. And do you remember, what does it say? Toil, toil. Yeah. And they're like, the witches are saying trouble is coming up, boil and trouble, right? And of course, they put into his mind a thought. And that thought is, you know, the king is going to choose somebody else to be the minister, not you. So then the jealousy comes, the anger comes, and then the plotting happens, and the mind goes so crazy that he ends up killing so many people. And at the end, his wife helps him, and then she looks at her hands when they clean up the body, and she goes, what have we done? And she sees, and she can't wash the blood off. And that's why people who keep washing their hands, it's called Lady Macbeth's disease. Did you know that? It's called Lady Macbeth's disease. And you know, when they have this, when many people do, they have this thing, they have to wash that. I always say, what is the guilt in them? Because I learned that from Macbeth, and I use that on my psychology, because I've met quite a lot of people that do that. And I said, what guilt are you feeling? That you have to feel that you have to wash it off all the time. What guilt are you feeling? And when I get to the bottom of it, they always feel guilty about something that they've done. It's so deep that they don't even recognize it. It's really interesting. So there I learned from one great psychologist. And then you read the Ramayana. If you haven't read it, it's really interesting. King has 3 wives, loves them all. All 3 are wonderful women. All have their sons. What happens? She has a maid that says, oh, the first wife's son, Lord Rama, is going to be king. What's going to happen to your son? You're the 3rd wife. And what's going to happen to your son, Bharat? And she goes, don't be ridiculous. Everybody loves Rama. We love Rama. Everybody loves Rama. And then she starts poisoning her mind. Poison every day. Oh, beautiful queen, you're the king's favorite. Don't you think that your son deserves to be king? And then the whole problem starts. And this is what happens to many people in this world. This is why I always tell you, careful who you listen to. Careful who you keep friends with. Somebody has a bad marriage. I visited somebody in another country once, and she had a good marriage. But she was convinced by all her friends that didn't have a good marriage that she should leave her husband because he was too depressed and he was going through a bad time and that she should leave him, she deserved better. And luckily I was there at the right time, at the right place, because she's a good lady and he was a good man. They'd done a lot of good in their life. And I said, what on earth are you doing? Don't you understand? He's only depressed because he doesn't see you enough. You become so angry with him that you leave the house all the time and you don't communicate. So anyway, brought them both together, and today they're the closest of couples. And all her friends were convincing her, you should leave, you should leave. It's like a leave the husband's club. Sorry, I'm being so you know, and she could have lost out on that wonderful relationship. I said, which relationship doesn't have trouble? Every relationship, unless he's beating you, cursing you, drunken, and he's a good person, looking after you, caring, stay. And I say that the same for men to the women. Unless she's cheating on you and really hurting you and swearing at you day and night, stay. Why do you want to find another one to get more headaches? Stay with the one, I mean both sides. It works both ways. The grass is not greener on the other side. I have met so many people who've done this by listening to friends. And I've seen people, good friends, split up because of this. To men, to women, very good friends, business partners. And their friends will say, oh, they're taking advantage of you, they're making 20% more than you. And they'll come and get frustrated, and I go, of course she should make 20% more than you. Why? We're a business partner, but you're the sleeping partner, she does all the work. In fact, she should make 30% more than you. And you should say, bless you, because you're lucky, you don't have to go there every day looking after the business, you just get the profits at the end of the day. I said, shame on you to even think bad thoughts of her. But I have to tell people that, because the world will tell you poison. Do you see? This is the way of the world. I mean, history books have been read about it, written about all these stories. So it's really quite simple, the psychology of life. It goes on because the world is here to create many pictures and many books and many stories. Now, do you want to be part of the river that just runs and not take any control of your life? The yoga science says, no, take control of your life. You can decide your scenery. At least, if it's ugly, you can make it pretty. You can make your hell into a heaven. It's all here. I often tell this story of my niece many years ago. She was going through a terrible time. And she was staying with me for 6 weeks. She was going through a lot of panic attacks, etc., etc. So anyway, she's in a room. She believes in ghosts and all. You know, they're all there. These things are all there. You know, just don't mess with it. You know, they exist in many dimensions. But why do you want to get involved? My master goes, why do you want to get involved? Get involved in your own life. It's more than enough in your hands. Anyway, so she goes, Auntie Nell, fear, fear, fear. So one day I'm in my sitting room and she looks at me and she goes, oh, Auntie Nell, I feel really all demons in here. And I go, really? And I see all angels. So who's right? Are they demons or are they angels? It's all the state of the mind. Do you see? And this is our master, this is where he was really very wise, because prior to coming to yoga, I used to see things like all this, you know. I used to see lots of things in my life until, and I used to hear breathing and this and that and get very scared, very scared. It didn't do any good to me to hear all these voices. So I used to tell my master, oh, Gurudev, I hear this, and he said, all in the mind. I said, but I know there are ghosts and spirits. He said, yeah, everything is in the mind. So if you tell your mind it doesn't exist, it won't exist. And if it does exist, it won't exist for your mind, so you'll be free. So I thought, I want to be free. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be every night waking up my husband telling I'm scared. I hear breathing. I'm tired of it. I don't want it. I don't want to know. And it stopped. I started the meditation, started approaching you at the experience too. And because they do start approaching you, and then you just go, you know what? You're in my mind. You don't exist. It's like Buddha, the story of Buddha. In the end, no thought. All that exists is peace and happiness. And then it goes by itself. So since then, if I need to know anything, I get the messages in the dream. Or I get it through somebody else. They tell me. Even if I don't ask, they'll tell me. Yes.
before my mum died, we're talking about the self and the higher self and how we all build together and program. I have a question about my mother, because the last few days before she was dying, she was starting to talk about herself in third person. She was saying she about herself. You know, she said she's getting worried, she's getting confused, she doesn't know what she's going to do, and so on. And then one day I called her on a regular basis, and then one day when she picked up the phone, there was this really awful voice, really like, and I thought, my God, I got the wrong number. But she was the only one in the other end of the line. And then the next time I called, it was this very sweet voice. And what I witnesses, could that be sort of the dissolving of the self? Do you know? So that it was the higher self that was watching the mind, saying she's getting confused.
Absolutely.
And then the two angels and the demons sort of like separating.
Correct.
Just ungluing somehow.
Absolutely correct. That is exactly what's happened, because all of us have an angel and demon within us. We are not part of it. When we start to see it, we become separate. But it can. I'll tell you an experience many of us had in India, and it wasn't just me. It was you remember that. Our master was still alive, and thank God 34 people decided to go with me on that trip. I'm so glad. I don't know how that happened, because I'll never travel with so many people again. But it was a brilliant trip, and it was fun. It was fun. And I'm so glad so many people took my advice and I said, you know, he's alive. If you want to see him in his home country, time to come. And we arranged a tour for everyone as well. Anyway, we had the first 6 days, and the rest was tour of the country. And the first night we arrived in India, we stayed at some stayed at the hotel and some stayed at the ashram. It's only this little, it's not very big, it only has 6 bedrooms. Of course, I stayed in the ashram. And suddenly I get a phone call, because they said Gurudev couldn't see us, he was so busy in India. Get a phone call from him, he wants to see the Gibraltar group. Right? Do you remember? And all the others were, what? He wants to see the Gibraltar group? And well, we had some Spanish and some English in our group. And so he came specially to sit and talk to all of us. Anyway, while he was talking, later he went down and gave a talk in Tamil to lots of people that came, and we also sat down in that talk. But while he was talking, his face started changing. I mean, I saw this, and then not only I saw it, but 4 other of my students saw it. He became an old lady, then he became Lord Jesus, and then he became Shiva, and then he became a demon. He was a demon. And then he changed, and I was looking, I said, I must be in jet lag to see all this. I must be having jet lag. I've seen him before in Gibraltar many times, and one time I had the vision of Jesus, of Shiva, of Krishna, but I've never seen the evil. This is your thing, right? And he was like, everything, and I got really, really quite scared. And I saw good and evil. And then I thought, no, I'm really jet lagged. So I went out, and I heard Eric, Lillian's husband, who doesn't really come to the yoga classes, but for some reason he just fell in love with our master and said, I'll come along and do all the photography for that trip. And he came out and he goes, did you see that? I said, what did you see? He said, Nalanie, did you see that? And then Asha, Anju's sister, comes, did you see that? I said, what did you see? And they saw exactly what I saw. There were 4, there was one more. And we just went out and, did you see that? And what I learned from that was, it's exactly that. See, the divine, when you're up there, there's no good or bad. It just is love. It just is love. Good or bad takes experience in this world that we live in, by what we think and what we do. And we have to go beyond the evil see the good. So we have to transcend our own evil and then see the good, and then transcend the good to see it as is. Almost like a director of a movie. That's the position we change from being the actor or actress to being the director or directress of a movie. You direct it, you see the whole thing. But in a movie, to make it interesting, you've got to have evil and you've got to have good, don't you? Without any Judas, there would not have been any Jesus. There'd be no story. Without the pain on the cross, there would be no understanding of self-sacrifice. Do you see what I'm saying? So you need the two. And when you come to that highest point of thinking, which is the question that you are asking, you see the two, but you are not any of it. Because good and bad live in this world. But in order to transcend it, you have to leave the bad first. The good is higher energy. With the good you can connect. So but even when you get to there, then there's no more good and bad. You just, it's a cosmic joke. It's God's play. It's really God's play because my birth name is Harilela, which is God's play. And I didn't choose it. My name, Nalanie, means lotus. And my master built a lotus temple. I didn't choose it. My married name is Chelleram, which means Chella is disciple of Ram. Lord Rama was a husband, a good husband, good son, etc. He was a normal human being, but with divine qualities. So I'm a disciple of his, without even planning it. Do you see? Are you understanding? Look at your name, look at your life, look at the situation. Sri Patanjali tells us when you practice non-greed, you start to understand why you are here and reincarnated in this world. And why does he say when you practice non-greed? Because greed is a sense of hoarding. Don't you feel that? A need, a more, you never have enough, right? As long as you are in that, you'll never be free. When you think you're not enough, you don't have enough, you will never be free. However, when you let that go, then you see why you've been given a certain personality, why you've given a certain birth, why you've given certain education, why you've been given all the pain and suffering you have, because that is actually a better teacher. As really, you learn more from the pain than you do anything else. Everybody in this room will tell me that. You really learn, you really go through deep emotions, you go so deep in yourself that you have to see a different light. So if you watch your life and just observe it, and all the yogis say I'm coming to you now, when you understand the microcosm, you understand the macrocosm. I never understood that for years. I studied the yoga, so just couldn't understand it. And then I understood, of course, when you understand your thought waves, everybody has the same journey, right? You start to understand everything. And when you understand, get all the knowledge that we need is inside of us. That's why the yogis say that our true nature is truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Ramana Maharishi. Any of you read Ramana Maharishi? Yeah, you've heard of him. Totally illiterate, and yes, totally self-realized. Living in where is he living in? Tirumalai, yeah, Tirumalai, in India, in a small village, right? Illiterate, self-realized. People came all over the world to look for him. How did that happen? Swami Satchidananda was in Sri Lanka in a little ashram in Kandy, which I've been to, which I hope to go to in December again. Little, it's not that big, it's a small ashram in Kandy. Peter Max, Conrad Brooks, film producers, find him there. They're looking for the spirit, they're looking for the truth. They find him in Sri Lanka and they take him to America. How does it happen? Do you see? When you vibrate in that energy, things happen for you. You don't have to plan what's going to happen. All you have to plan every day is to get involved in that process. You see, we make too many plans for too many needs and too many wants. And like Vanessa said in our talk, plan for peace. If you plan for peace and you work towards that, that's your work. Everything else will come on to you. You getting the picture? You understanding? You had a question?
Yes, but maybe it's already answered in the sense that when you come here to have this experience, your soul already decided which experiences they are going to have in a
Absolutely.
sense, but it's only a question of using your free will here to do the decisions that you're making going to bring you one side or another side. But it's all already, in a sense, planned in advance, the people you're going to meet, the context, but here you have this free will to decide what you're going to do with it.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, but it's a little bit more deeper than that. I asked this to my master many years ago. Couldn't understand that. Couldn't understand it. Couldn't understand what is free will. Do we have free will? Because at another time he would say, don't you know you're just puppets? He said, you're just puppets. So I go, okay, Gurudev, if I'm a puppet, why bother to do anything? I won't bother to do anything. Why am I working so hard? And what I learned is, it's like two parallel lines. We all come with a destiny. Where did it start? Where did it start? Chicken or egg? Nobody knows. Seed or tree? Nobody really knows, right? Where did it start? Anyway, over our incarnations, we build up many scenes and many things that we need to learn to get back to the soul. So when we come to Earth, we come with a certain destiny. For example, maybe this life I needed to lose many fears. Fear of animals, fear of bugs, fear of being alone, fear of not having enough. All those were my fears as a child, you know. Fear of ghosts and monsters and all that. I had many. You people are very lucky. You're much less than me. So I came to this life, pardon?
Subways.
and to lose all these kind of fears for different things, because you know I was brought up as a city girl, and so I had to learn in this life. So I come to a family, but I must obviously have done something good to come to a family with a lot of spiritual knowledge. So the scene is set. Now, what could have happened? Okay, so I get married, I get into a very tough situation. I have a choice, two choices. At that time, I didn't think I had a choice. So I got angry with life. Why has this happened to me? And having a wonderful husband, poor guy, blaming him for everything that went wrong in my life. And I couldn't see what a wonderful husband I had. Well, I was madly in love with him. I could see that. That's why I stayed. But I wasn't showing it. You know, what's the point to say I love you and then scream and shout? Didn't make sense to me. So something was not working. So this is the parallel. There is this human experience and there is destiny. And then when you get a little knowledge, when you get fed up of not liking yourself, and you know that feeling, we all know that feeling, you don't like you anymore, or you don't like what's happening. Maybe you don't know it's you. You might be thinking it's something else you're not liking, but something is just not working. When you get to that stage in your life, there's two things that can happen. You can get bitter and angry and blame for the rest of your life, or you can break the cycle. Now, the free choice comes only in the fact that our destiny is, for example, your destiny is to be in this room, right? What you do with the knowledge is up to you. Your destiny is to have this knowledge. Whether you use it or not, that's the freedom that you have. But your destiny has brought you here. And of course, the yoga science explains it like this. You have the free choice to understand who you are. But like you mentioned earlier, the mind is so crazy that even though you understand that, you keep falling into the same hole of the past because it's too tempting or you're too used to it. In the Bhagavad Gita, it explains this very simply. It says, just as fire burns fuel into ashes, so does the man of knowledge or woman of knowledge burn the karmas into ashes. So we have the free choice to change this moment. This moment. We don't have free choice for the next. What is gone is gone. So when you use that knowledge, as Vanessa was explaining, when you're about to shout at somebody at that moment, and you take that knowledge and you restrain it, you're using a free choice to just not go along with cause and effect, which is the universal law. Because if you shout, it comes back to you. One way or the other, it'll come back to you in guilt or pain or whatever, it'll come back to you. So you just go with the universal law of cause and effect. Here, the parallel journey is you go with the higher effect, or what we call God's plan. Because when you work on a high energy, your vibration changes. So as your moments change, so does your future change. Nothing is set in stone. Time is not linear. Time only exists here. The moment you leave this planet, there is no time. There's no even gravity. What is there? So when you observe these questions and you see them, then you understand that when you flow on a higher level, then you stick with the flow. That's why they say, people tell me all the time, I'm flowing. Why are you flowing? Because you're not angry. Because you're excited about your work, you're creating, you're in that flow. The moment you get depressed, that karma happens when you're in that flow and something comes to stop it. Something painful. Something painful comes in your life. That's your test. Can you still go on that flow? And the more pain you can accept without causing pain in return, what happens? The higher your vibration gets. And the more tests you will get. But then they won't seem like tests anymore because you passed the highest test of pain. Are you understanding me? Am I getting too deep? Am I getting too complicated for you? Are you sure? So it is only this real moment with knowledge that you can burn your karmas. Why do you think I'm so passionate to give you the knowledge? Because once you got it, you change your mind. Oh, Sarah, what did you do? A few months ago, you were in so much pain. I see you 2 months later and you're a different human being. Do you know how did you do it? You just made a decision. But if you carried on, but it is your good karma that brought you there. Why? Because you got to a point where you say, no more. You had to say, no more. I deserve better. You just have to say, no more to nonsense. No more fiddling, no more nonsense. Just get there. What is your talent? Oh, by the way, our paintings are beautiful. Very beautiful. Have you seen our paintings on the website? Please send it to everybody. We got 2 artists in this room. We're so blessed. So stand it. It's really quite phenomenal. So after seeing that, I say, I don't think I'll bother to paint. And seriously, I mean, this is really my work. Painting for me is a joy, just fun, But it's brilliant. It's honestly brilliant. So amazing.
I'm painting 2 paintings at the moment called Flow.
See? Wow.
Synchronicity.
Flow. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're in the flow, so you understand the flow.
Yeah.
So this thing, Vanessa, is really good because it took me a long time to understand it. What I did was, and I'm going to advise you all to do that, because even if I explain it, and I tell you, you can't really explain it in words, you'll go home and you'll forget everything I said, because it was, even if you listen to it, it will make sense to you again. So what I did with myself is, even though my master said it's like two parallel planes, you know, but if you learn to come to that one, then you can see it all, transcend it like your mother did. Look at yourself as third person. Then what I did was, the exercise I did is really, what is free will? What is destiny? And then I read a lot of books, and after a while keep it aside and watch lives. And watch the law of cause and effect, watch it. In my lifetime, I have really seen the cause and effect, and now it's happening very quickly, especially with yogis. When you take up yoga, isn't it true? It's so interesting. If you even think a bad thought, it comes back to you right away. And you have such a laugh, it comes back right away. It's so quick. So you know, when, of course, you know, when you understand the law, like for example, when I fractured my foot the second time, everybody was poor me, and I go, nothing poor about me. I must have kicked a lot of people in my previous life. I'm just working out the karma. You don't feel poor about anything. Nothing is poor. You don't feel that feeling. Oh, great, one bad karma gone. Wonderful, you know. Now I'm just going to sow good seeds, because I already know that in this life, prior to my yogic life, I have to make a separation, because I really feel I've lived 3 different lives in one lifetime so far. So I'm at 4 actually. And I make a separation, you know, prior to understanding this knowledge, I was living in hell. And after understanding this knowledge, every year more and more in heaven. Every year. Of course, during the last 5 years or 6 years, I've had a lot of knocks in my life, but they haven't seemed like knocks. Just normal learning. Who doesn't have knocks? I see other people go through the same situation, and it's a knock. It's really bad, you know. And that's because they don't have the knowledge. And that's why, let's give them the knowledge. It's not a fault. And really, people who are good will get it. They'll find it one place or the other. So, how it works, I cannot tell you. I just know that there's one thing we can do. The only work I know, and I have to be so truthful, because I really, after all I've read, I really don't know anything. What I do know is that I just wake up every morning and ask that I make the best of today. I hurt no one, cause no pain, and let me work on myself to purify my mind. So let my word, my thought, and my deed all be one. All be one. All be one. May every thought be pure. That's all I ask for, because that's the work I can only do to better my life. And when I do that, my life is better. I feel the richest human being in the world. Yes.
And what is pure? What represents purity?
No nonsense. Nothing.
So,
Not even good or bad. It's just like, if I have to make a cup of tea, I'll enjoy making a cup of tea. Do you see what I'm saying? If I have to serve somebody in an appointment, they are important. Nothing to do with me. It's their thoughts. I want to understand and hold and love. Nothing to do with me. If I'm sitting here, may I be a good instrument. Don't get in the way of whatever happens in your life.
so you're in love, you're in a state of...
Yes, I think
in a-
pretty
in a
much so.
high
Yeah.
thinking as far
It's
as...
taken me a long time to get here, yeah. But it's so incredible how it works. It just slowly creeps into your day, creeps. You just do the work, and it's almost, you just do what you have to do and everything comes to you. It really is, as the Lord Jesus said, seek ye the kingdom, seek ye God in its righteousness first, and everything else will be added to you. It really is like that. It really is like that. So seek the highest first. Seek peace. You don't want to call it God, no problem. Or you want to call it Jesus, no problem. You want to call it whatever you want, no problem. But seek that highest place first. But everybody is mostly, nearly 99% of my life, I see people are searching, oh, I love God, but I wouldn't mind to have a few more millions here, or if I had a house here, I'd be here. It's always if this happened. It's never, I'm just so happy with what I've got. I just love God so much. It's very rare for me to hear people say, I really want to know the truth. I want to know the truth. It's always something to do with ego or something to look like I know more than everybody else. It's not that sincere search. I want to know the truth. And that sincere search is what will take you there. And of course, along that path, your ego will be tested, because the higher your energy, more people will be attracted. Now, what do you want to do with it? Well, you're going to fall into the trap and go into advertising and go into that. That's up to you. You can get anything you want if you wanted that. What you just want is, it's up to you. At this point, you can decide anything you want. You'll get it. You just have to ask. And that's what you have to watch for. Be careful what you ask for. So keep to asking for peace and the highest. Peace and the highest. You saw an example of a very good person because of ego. Tune into the outside world. Tune into the outside world. We need to tune into the inside world. Tune in. Just tune in. And that's what we need to do more, because then the more you tune in, the more you see, it happens naturally. Oh my God, I'm really not this body, I'm really not this mind, I'm really just an instrument. And then, play me. Then you ask, play me, because you know best. Then it's not even about good or bad, wrong or right anymore. You're just coming from a place of love. And when you come from a place of love, it's a different energy, it's neutral. You asked the question, what is purity? Purity, unconditional love. We feel it. When a mother gives a child unconditional love, the child knows it. When the mother gives or father gives a child conditional love, they also know it. And then they get angry back at you. You didn't really do it for me. You did it because you didn't want people to talk about you. They know right away. You're not really bothered about me, you're just bothered about what people think of you as a mother or father. How many times have kids said that to me? I said, oh, they want the best for you. Oh no, Nalanie, they don't. They want the best for them. So smart. What can you do? They're so smart. I have to agree. And sometimes I call the parents and it's hard. This is not what your child wants. Your child wants to be a musician. You want your child to be a doctor because you want to tell all your friends at the pub that my child is a doctor. And you're going to make him miserable to please you. No. I want the best. He'll have money. Who's saying he won't have money if he's a musician? Why are you telling him that? What have you put in his head? You made him doubt his flow, his music. You made him doubt everything about himself. Because you're fearful. Your fear. This is why also in the Bible says the children suffer the father's sins. It's just that what you as parents do, the children will learn from it. We have to break cycles. Steve had a horrible childhood. When he told us the story of teacher training, I really went home choked. And look how wonderful he's turned out, breaking the cycle. Really, if you hear a story how his mother treated him, and no anger in him, sadness, of course, it stays for a long time when you're treated like that. And still coming out and wanting to be better, it's admirable. Human nature is amazing. So, and other people talking about stupid problems. You see what he had as a child, and he's made it in life. Why are you complaining? Do you see what I'm saying? We become so unreal in the mind. We're so lucky in this West. We're so lucky. We really are so blessed. I think we also live in one of the nicest places in the world. Prettiest, really. The mountains, the sea, the greenery.
Peace.
Peace. It really is.
The energy.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And we need to create this energy back in this area because it got very, in the last 10, 20 years, our whole area became contaminated with materialism. And people become so far from themselves. We've contaminated this area because it's so beautiful. so let's make it so. Upmarket and da-da-da. And then we sell our soul. We sell our soul. And that's the mistake we've made with this beautiful area. And this is why the gods are calling back for the soul of the place to revive. Yes?
I've been struggling with one thing since I came to Spain. Every time I cross the border of a country, I get hit by this energy. For example, last year Germany was a very miserable place because they started feeling that they pay too much for other people's pleasures.
That's right.
For 2 years, I felt Spain is going down. The energy level was, dropping tremendously, and it gives me creeps now. This year, I drove across the border. God knows where, GPS, I never know where. I got to Elvais Vasco and we were like, okay, it's same old, but something was so different. Does anybody feel that Spain's energy is going up?
Super much.
Yes. Yeah, it's coming up.
It was so unexpected for me because I've been very negative about Spain. And I just needed this reflection.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, because look at people like you, your energy is going up. Do you see every single person's energy? And this is what my master said, and it was just so simple arithmetic. He said, the first talk I ever heard him in Gibraltar when I invited him over said, world peace. He said, forget about world peace if you don't find personal peace. Don't even talk about it. Do you have peace in your home? Do you have peace with your friends? Are you at peace with yourself? And nearly everybody answered no. And he goes, how do you expect world peace when you can't even have peace in your own home between two people? Between two people you can't find peace. How are you going to find peace in the world? And that was my, wow. That's where I have to start. That's the purity. Start at home. Start at home. And so many people turn spiritual and think, I have to leave my home. I know this is a big temptation. Even I thought that when I first turned spiritual. Wrong. Spiritual is changing the energy of your home and making it spiritual. You don't leave it to find it because you leave yourself. You'll always be running away. You can't leave you. No matter where you go, you have to live with you. You better stop liking you. You have to live with you. Feel at home. And I think the nicest thing for me was the feeling. I was speaking to you today about it, Annika. For years, I used to feel, I don't feel at home anywhere. Dislodged from Hong Kong, dislodged from University in the State, just never felt I belonged in Gibraltar, but I lived there 30 years. That was my work there. And dislodged. And then when I started yoga, I remember after the first 15 years in Gibraltar, suddenly I said to my husband after practicing yoga for 2 years or 3 years, I feel at home. And he goes, what? That nice feeling. But then I realized I went to Hong Kong and I could easily feel at home there again. And then I went to India and I felt at home. And then I went to Bali and I felt at home. And now I was staying in a tiny hostel, really, and Lakshmi was worried about me. Are you okay? I said, I feel so at home. I love my cozy room. Hardly any space to move, but I loved it. And that feeling of being comfortable, wasn't it? It was so happy in that place, that feeling of being at home wherever you are, that means you can live in your own body. And I think to me, yoga gave me that biggest gift. So start to feel at home. And yes, the energy is rising. So many of you are now really going out and making a difference. You are. I mean, all of you are doing something with your friends, with your people, all of you in this room. You have changed your vibration. Even if you change 5 people's life, they will change another 5. And they will change another 5. And they will change another 5. What are you doing with the vibration very quickly? That's why I say fix yourself first. Know yourself, fix yourself. Because once you do that, then you're flying, and then you're heaven on earth. And then, like I said, at the time when you go, he said, my Father in heaven, I did my best. Now take me, I'm happy to go. And fly with the angels, or fly wherever. Does it really matter? It doesn't, because you don't know anymore. You don't have this body. Nalanie doesn't exist anymore, except in history books, or even there, maybe in the Dasfern. I'll be remembered for 50 years by the people who knew me, and that's it. So don't even think you're that important. Do you see what I'm saying? We think we're so important. You die today, how many people are going to remember you? And then most people live their life to be famous, to be this and like that. And what for? Who is with you on your deathbed or the end anyway? It's really your family and your close friends. In my case, I was very lucky. I had Sangha members that were brilliant. Brilliant. They helped me so much. I will never forget it. When my husband passed away. But most people just have their family, and that's the people they treat the worst in their life. What a waste of energy and time. And on that note, I should finish. Do you have any questions? Do you want to share anything? Do you want to tell me anything? Yes.
I just want to share one thing as well.
And next week. Yeah, okay.
About my mother, she said, you know this tunnel with the light that everybody talks about? She said, when she was about to pass, she said, it's not a tunnel. She said, it's a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because if you know about black hole and atoms...
Yeah, where they just disappeared out into nobody knows where the material goes, and suddenly it appears again. It just felt like that's a really good place to change realities. You know, like, you're out on the other side, and then you can come in again.
And it's literally like that. But you know, there is a lovely documentary that Ole lent to me many years ago, a couple of years ago, called The Black Hole, W-H-O-L-E, right? It's a scientist. It's amazing. It really is science explaining spirituality in a scientific way. It's wonderful. And it never stops, huh? The black hole goes, it is deeper, the atoms go smaller and smaller and smaller. And we think we've understood nuclear physics, and in another 50 years, really Star Trek transform. There's so much more to us that we don't even realize. I mean, if you told people, like my father's no longer in the body, 100 years ago, that big computers and everybody was working on computers, you know, they wouldn't even have understood the concept. And look at the world now. I mean, even 20 years ago, what we know today, 20 years ago, you know, 100, if you think we were in 2013, when was the first plane? Who flew? The Wright brothers. When was that? 19 something, wasn't it? Late 1800s, late 1800s. You're talking about 200 years, and look at where we are today. So what's going to happen in another 200 years? You just don't know. All you know is this moment, and the yogic science is live this moment to the best you can. And the only way you can do that is fixing yourself and making yourself happy. Otherwise, don't bother with world peace. Fix yourself. Really waste of time. I see so many yoga teachers confusing the world outside. I'm sorry to say that, but it makes me very sad as I travel. And lots of people, people have come to me in fear. I'm frightened of my teacher. I do this wrong, and I do this wrong, and I do this. What have you done? Replace one religion for another? Yoga is not a religion, it's a science. Why are you making yoga into a religion? Who said you're doomed to hell because you don't meditate 2 hours every day? You know, I hear this kind of stuff.
Terrible.
It's terrible. I said, we're going from one prison into another prison. Did you know what my master said? Silver cage, gold cage, still a cage. We're meant to be free. So follow your own heart. Follow the golden rules. You really have to follow like the 10 commandments, yamas, niyamas. If you do that, you will be guided. You know, and maybe you'll hear some of that next week. I don't know if you've seen this little booklet that's written by Ole after he did the Raj Yoga course with me a few years ago. And it's a lovely little booklet that he explains the yamas, niyamas, and all of it in this little booklet that's really cute. So next week I'm going to be away all week to Portugal, but I've asked him that if he could do the talk called Mind Me. It'll be a phenomenal talk because the book is really brilliant, and if you haven't bought it, it's €4. and it's brilliant. It really is. And it's so simple. It's so simple. It's a sutras written in his own words, you know. And so next week he'll be doing the talk here from 6 to 7:30. And there'll be questions and answers as well for anybody who wants it.
It's a very good little book to give as a gift. I bought quite a few and you gave me quite a few. And for people who does not have an idea what this club is doing, as I have been told a few times, then this book is quite a nice book to give.
It is.
Because
It's really.
kind of a humorous way as well. You put so much kind of a lightness into it. I think.
Yeah, it's life is a game.
Yeah,
Life is a
I
game.
like it.
Play it well.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
all. That's what you get. And it is a game. Play it well. Yoga teaches you to play it well. And yes, young man.
When are you going to return from Portugal?
I'm going from Sunday to Sunday. I'll be back I'm leaving this Sunday, be back the following Sunday. So I'm only missing 1 week.
A week and just 1 week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going there to give them this intense course in Raj Yoga.
And this Sunday you're going?
Yes, this Sunday I'm going. Any other question you'd like to ask?
No.
Thank you. And what have you taken from today? What have you understood from my talk today?
Today I have learned a lot about not being with the ego that much. Just not to react like the ego.
Yeah. No, you love the ego, but you purify it. But don't think you are it.
No.
You're very clever.
I won't listen to some words where it says.
Thank you. No gossip. I love you, Thomas. You really are just an amazing kid. And I feel so honored to have you in our class. I really do. And I think you're amazing to sit through these talks and just observe and remember. You really are an amazing child. Thank you for coming. Doctor, what did you keep today? One word or something you would remember from today? Today. Something that you think you'll remember. Anything.
Almost everything, but the now is very important.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Keeping the flow.
Keeping the flow. That's your painting. Vanessa, thank you for the talk. It was lovely. You passed.
That was good.
The explanation about the question, parallel worlds, two parallels, I really love. Yeah, it was very deep and beautiful.
Thank you. Kirsty.
I like creating your own karma, the karma of the past and the karma that you create for your future and present karma as well.
Good. That's
I needed to remember that.
Yeah, that's so solid. It keeps you
Yeah.
solid when you say, oh, this action, reaction,
I just want to forget about the karma from the past. What is important is the future and the present.
Absolutely. Good. The most important is the present. Aren't you wise? Thank you. Kelly.
Purity.
Yeah.
To remain in being aware of purity in all things.
Yeah, you'd love the sutra on purity then, which we teach in January. I'm doing the course here, by the way. Definitely. Nirvana.
As well, Vanessa said, the parallel worlds that I recognize that a lot.
Well, you've gone through a lot.
Yeah, and I completely understand the parallel worlds, and I think therefore it grabbed me again. Yeah. To just rise above and to see how we act and react and respond in the world, and how we can create our own world, parallel world. So yeah, let's
Thank
take
you. Thank you. Annika.
Transform anger into love.
Wonderful. Please, I'm sorry, your name?
Alex.
Alex. Yeah.
To be happy, to try to be happy.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Irene.
I think to fix yourself before you try and fix everybody else.
I know, do you know that is such a it's such a sticky thing because you keep falling into that one. It's, I fell into that for so long. Keep falling into fixing somebody else. No, I can't do that. Fix you. It's a hard one to do.
Yeah, it would be impossible if you want to fix somebody, but you don't fix yourself. You won't learn how to fix anyone, and it would be like impossible to do. And the first thing you have to do, you have to realise to fix yourself first.
Absolutely, young man. Kamala.
Contentment in the here and now. We were talking about it earlier, and then you brought it up again. So I guess that's twice today. So that's my lesson for today.
No, I was just really happy to get confirmed what I thought I experienced with my mother.
Yeah, it's quite...
because that was really like I wouldn't say it was partly a spooky experience, but at the same, and can I just say what I really loved was that after that very weird voice, then when I spoke to her again, it didn't make a lot of sense, but what she was saying all the time was yes, yes, yes. I just thought that was really beautiful. And then after that she died, but she kept repeating the yes, which was sort of like up from...
You got it. Everything is yes. Whatever you want is yes. When you get to that transcendental level, it's all yes. Karen.
To get in the flow again. I had a pretty stressful afternoon, and I was flowing really nicely, and this afternoon a few things happened, and I was getting stressed, and it got worse and worse, and then I got here, I was rushing around, and I got here, and I'm like, right, forget all that now, just get back in the flow.
Yeah,
It
good.
just reminded me. Because it just escalates.
It just does.
It gets ridiculous. You get really, really stressed.
And then,
Yeah.
But you see wise, you come back, where you can settle again.
Now it's just a few hours instead of a few days. So.
Great to hear that. Shivaraj.
Realising and not reacting to the ego. That's right.
Okay, great. Trevor.
Many things today actually, but I'm out of the flow lately, so I know I need to get myself back into the flow. And I think coming here and starting yoga as well is going to help me.
Physical.
Peace. Well.
Oh, this yoga.
Yeah, this yoga. Just my mind keeps running away everywhere like a lot of other people, I suppose. I know that's going to help me to calm myself.
Yeah, but you're already a lot more happy than when I first saw you. He's very happy, isn't he? He's always smiling. There's a joy in you.
I just get lost sometimes.
We all do. Don't worry about it. Just as long as you know to come home. Come home. Terry.
Feeling recharged because it's been since before the summer.
Yeah,
so
it's
been a really good. I was so looking forward to coming.
It's
been a real good get back into it.
I'm so glad. I just think you are so brave. This girl gets blood transfusions every 2 months and she never makes a big deal of it. Huh? She has an autoimmune disease and she does in and out. Richard, you must be really proud of her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, and what about you? What did you take from today?
I think the grass isn't necessarily green. I mean, we're trying to be happy where you are. Yeah, because you think there's somewhere else, possibly, but it's probably just there, just realising it,
Yeah.
seeing it.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about other women either, so grass is not good. That would be definitely
Yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah. And so are you.
Well, not looks. That's been done, that's been.
You look more like my best friend at school.
He must look very nice then.
Yeah. It's very similar. My first name is Ken.
Monica.
I picked up some advice how to keep my thoughts clean while I'm working, because I think whatever energy I project to the object I'm dealing with, it will be carried away to the world. And other people will sense it. But also, my work, it's like a closed circle really. The work is the meditation, and keeping thoughts clean would provide me with the ability to detach myself.
Good, at least you smile when you say that. That's good.
Well, I've done about a week of meditation basically. I haven't been in internet, I haven't been contacting people, and I kind of like the space I find myself now. It's healthy.
Good that you can recognize it. It's healthy. That's the purity. You know, that is the purity of the practice. It makes you feel healthy.
It doesn't come without suffering.
No, unfortunately, because we're quite thick, we don't seem to learn without it. But anyway, I've kept you long enough, so we'll just finish with 3 arms. And think of Esther's ex.
They said yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
Absolutely.
Present.
I would also like to ask, we can keep in mind a client of mine who I've been teaching for a couple of months, and she's dying of cancer. She's in high care hospital, and it's probably her last week. So you can keep, her name is Yolande.
I'll think about it. She's an HC?
Yolande Kina, she's been here a few times. She's an HC where Coral was as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need to see her yesterday, but she was just almost half away.
Okay, we'll pray for her.
Yeah.
And your friend,
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Phoenix Rosensmith is a friend of mine on Facebook, and he is as well a very spiritual person and touched tops of souls, but he's in the moment that he has a double pneumonia, had lots of surgery, and they don't know if he's going to make it, if he will be here or coming to the other side.
Thank you. So we'll do 3 arms and a minute of silence.
Oh, this is very painful.
May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all the darkness.
Victory to the light.
Jai Shri Satguru Satchidananda Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for you. And you know, to finish, you know what namaste means, right?
Yes.
Namaste. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you. Namaste. 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 And we could constantly do that to each other. Our world, the vibrations will just get higher and higher by themselves. Because it's just constant reminding, you know. We're really just all having a great time on earth. If we can play our part well, learn to play